Hello and welcome to another TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Mr. Barton. Now, the keen viewers among you may remember that a few weeks ago I showcased a wonderful sequences resource on this series, and it was all about visualizing sequences as patterns, which I'm a huge fan of. I really think it helps students make the links between geometry, algebra, start to build up pattern spotting, generalization, and so on. If I'm honest, I'm a little bit obsessed with sequences and the teaching of it. So you can imagine my delight when I came across this linear sequences visualizer. Now, this is an incredibly simple idea, but as we all know, in life, often the simplest ideas are the best, and this is a classic example of that. So, it has been kindly created by Ed Gore, and it consists of an Excel file, but we can do flipping loads with this. So if I crack it open, and I'll move my annoying head out of the way, you'll see we've got two tabs. We've got AN plus B and AN minus B. Let's deal with the AN plus B one first. Look, this is so simple, this. Here in this box here, you've got your sequence rule, and here you've got a number grid. So if I click on that 1 and I change that 1 to a 3, then we can just get a sense of what happens. It highlights all the terms in that sequence of so all the terms in the 3n plus 0 sequence. If I change this 0 to a 1, what's going to happen? There we go. We now get all the terms highlighted in the 3n plus 1 sequence. Now, we also get a nice table down here, and you might be screaming at your screen, what the flipping heck is going on here? What are all these symbols? Well, this is classic Excel. If you just expand make them a little bit wider, you get all the numbers there. So we've got a nice little thing here that generates terms of the sequence, but it also highlights them on the grid. Why is that so nice? Well, because it allows us to ask some wonderful questions and really help deepen the knowledge and understanding of students conceptually about sequences. Let me show you what I mean. So if I was introducing this, and then I'll come to some of the wonderful suggestions the authors made, I'd be tempted to do exactly what I've done with you there. I would start with changing it to 3n, and I would just show the kids what happened. I wouldn't ask them to predict or anything like that. I would just put 3n on there. And then I may change that 0 to a 1, as I did, and showed them that. On there, and that happens. And then I'll say to the students, right, I'm about to change that 1 to a 2. I'll give you 20 seconds to predict what you think is going to happen. Blah, 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 change it to that. And then I might say something to them along the lines of, right, can anybody suggest what I might need to change this number to if I want that square there to light up? Or if I want that square there to light up? Is there only one possibility for that? Are there many possibilities for that? Then I've got the whole thing of what the flipping heck is going to happen if I change that 3? What do you reckon is going to happen if I change that 3 to a 4? If I change that 3 to a 5? If I keep this number the same? If I keep this number different? And if you're really kind of strategic with your questions, you can build up a really sound knowledge. And I love this table. Personally, when I teach sequences, the kind of number and algebra based way, I always relate it to times tables and I link it back to patterns. But this is perfect for linking it to times tables, right? Because there's our 5 times table. We can clearly see it out laid out. And if I change that 0 to a 1, then I get my 5 times table with 1 extra added. And you can see dynamically how things change. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's linking sequences together. It no longer is some weird abstract concept. We also have an equivalent here on the back for when you've got negatives. So if I change that to a 5, and we get that. And if I change that to a -1, we get that. And again, my advice here would be, show them show them what happens the first couple of times, but then never show them something until they've had opportunity to predict. Before you click anything, say, what do you think's going to happen here? Write down your ideas. Tell the person next to you, blah, 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 blah. But if that wasn't good enough, wait till you see this, because the author has also come up with some wonderful questions. Look at that. Look at that. Can you tell me a sequence that only uses multiples of 3? How many of those sequences are there? Can you come up with more than one? What about that? Includes as many prime numbers as possible. So we're bringing in other topics and then linking them into sequences. Only makes numbers appear in columns. Makes only 6 numbers appear. That's nice. Think about that one. How many sequences only highlight exactly 6 numbers? How many can you come up with? How do you know you've got them all? Lovely stuff. Only numbers under 40 appear. Are all some of these possible? Are some of them impossible? Show all the numbers that are 3 less than a multiple of 7. and so on. Now, I've long been a fan of planning questions as opposed to planning resources, and this is a wonderful example of that. If you can come up with 10 questions, and look, there are 6 of them there, and hopefully I've suggested a few during the video, you've got a resource that's going to last you 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on, one that you can always come back to when it comes to sequences. And if you combine this way of teaching sequences together with the pattern thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, your kids are going to absolutely nail sequences. So I absolutely adore this resource. I think it's wonderful, and I hope you like it too. If you do, hop back onto this resource page, share your review down here and perhaps how you've used it, and even a couple of questions if you come up with some. And I will see you for a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care. Bye for now.